Hello!
Hi!
Another Film Critters Process is coming to you live from Ghost Planet.
And we have a special guest today.
It's me!
It's Mia
Schwartz.
Mia Schwartz.
Creator, what do you want to plug here?
Professional lesbian. That's why I'm on this
Career
episode.
lesbian.
Career lesbian. I made We Know the Devil and Heaven Will Be Mine. They're visual novels for lesbians and other people, if you're nasty.
If you're nasty.
If you're nasty.
Hit up Steam if you're nasty. I am as always Baru.
And I am also, as always, J Bear Hat.
And we are here today to talk about a film that we saw recently called The Favorite.
That's The Favorite with a U.
With a U.
Just to clarify.
Bitch.
I was like thoroughly chastised for trying to find it on Fandango.
Oh yeah.
Like it doesn't come up. They push that U so hard.
The U who cost them like millions of dollars in marketing campaign money.
It's
It's
not
ink.
impossible.
It's
like the thing about how The Simpsons all have 4 fingers because it like literally saves so much money
oh my
for them
God.
to not have 5.
So yeah. What did we think of The Favorite? There's definitely a lot to dive into.
Yes.
I'm almost tempted to get the bad out of the way prior to the good. I would say there's not very much bad about this movie. I would say some of the stuff like with the Queen's illnesses kind of became a little bit harder to watch toward the end. Not in, I don't know, like in the sense that it's kind of the sort of like gaze, I guess, on it.
There's a lot of stuff I feel like the Film Critters audience is pretty like solid about compartmentalizing a lot of stuff, but the director Lanthimos, like his films in general are like very, very, very dark. Very like deals with a lot of very, very difficult stuff. And the three of us love evil.
Yeah.
Like we're able to like find that kind of thing cathartic. That's not going to be for everybody. I feel like more so than some of the other movies that have been processed on Film Critters Processing. I think it might be good to start with like what you're like really getting into with this movie.
So yeah, you've probably heard about it in some capacity about how it is in fact gay.
Yes.
Representation. It's not subtext as I thought going in. There's a part halfway through the film where the Queen just goes, "Fuck me," and she gets fucked.
She sure does.
But it is not gay representation in the sense of like they're not getting any GLAAD awards for this one. Not that that it's homophobic, but that it's like
it's a very particular type.
This is if you want to watch just a movie about evil political lesbians.
Yeah.
Like just playing with each other's emotions and just tormenting each other and cheating and fucking and being like nasty to each other, and then also like two of them being really strongly in love but like not enough so that it keeps their relationship together because they're both kind of nasty people.
Yeah.
That's what this movie is.
Yeah, if you like, it's definitely not like I want to watch this movie and feel good because there's gay people in it having a good time. It's not for you.
Yeah. They do not have a good time.
They have a very bad time.
Yeah.
And it's like a severely like it's a very glib movie. Like it's very like it has like this just like Lanthimos in general has like a very like incredibly dry, dark sense of humor where like it just doesn't there's no aftercare. Like
I was talking about it before where it's like when I first saw Dogtooth and people were described as a dark comedy, I was like, that's not a comedy.
Yeah.
And then I saw his other movies and I was like, oh, it is. He just has like the most like, oh, I want to make a movie that's as upsetting as possible but has the driest fucking sense of humor in the film. It'd be like if Hereditary like had the characters acting like they're on The Office.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm really interested in going back and revisiting Dogtooth now that I've seen his other movies, because after watching The Lobster, just like like his movies have like Monty Python pacing as far as like the jokes, but the jokes are also just like such a dick slap. Like they're so like I don't know. They're so bizarre and
I actually want to talk about how this movie first of all the wideness of this release and also how it was billed. Because so I've been a fan of his movies. But they're usually not really billed as comedies. They're kind of just billed normally as like, here's like a super alienating art movie with like a wild premise and all this stuff. And like so actually when Jay was the one who told me about this movie that it was his, Jay was like, "Oh, it's a comedy." I was like, "Really?" And so we watched the trailer and like the trailer, like watching it, I was just like, these jokes are like not that funny in this trailer. Like they're not like, I don't really understand. And also it makes me like hearing that it's a comedy and seeing the quality of the jokes does not make me want to see it. And I was like, this is such a horrible thing to think that I like usually don't. But I was like, the fact that this is like, there are like ads for this on like Bravo and like it's like playing in like my hometown like mall theater and stuff like that, and I was like kind of worried that it would like kind of like they would like file his teeth down a little bit. No, it's like as alienating and strange and dry as any of his other movies. It's just that for some reason it's being sold to normal people.
Yeah.
And it's almost like,
as, like
the
a
least
goofy comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like it is like it does have some like very straightforward, very funny moments. And I had a moment like Baru and I just saw it in the theater. I feel like the jokes that were like very obviously jokes, I heard our like packed theater of normal people laugh super, super hard at, I think because they were relieved that they could laugh at something.
I somehow managed to see, because it's probably my fault because I saw it on like Christmas Day. So I saw
great.
it with just like a room full of just like, oh, your aunt and uncle who don't have kids and dual income and love to support the arts are going to go and see this on Christmas Day. So and even then, like, I could tell, like, they were just, like, uncomfortable, so they'd give the kind of, like, awkward, like, ho, 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 ho.
Yeah.
But, definitely went and saw this not knowing what they were signing on for.
Yeah.
the golf laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Oh, that's quite a clever jest.
Mm.
Yeah, no, when I first saw the trailer for it, and I saw it before a movie, and I was like, huh, it's weird that there's, like, a lot of, like, kind of, like, you know, tame jokes, but then, like, I was like watching the trailer. I was like, this directing is like really good. And then I saw his name and I was like, oh, what?
Yeah.
I was like, I need to see this. Whoever edited this trailer is evil because they are absolutely lying.
The trailer
about this
is
movie.
more fun to watch after you've seen the movie because you realize that all of like there is no joke in that movie that is not like completely earned from like watching it cumulatively and just like being along for this like weird tense like troubling ride, but then also like just like none of the scenes in the trailers are like really the jokes in the movie. It's just like characters sincerely like there's moments where characters like sincerely have a fun time like or like goof around or whatever, and like it's really funny to see like the jokes that they put in there, like how evil they are in the full picture of the movie.
Like there's the one in the trailer where she's like, I heard them, they were like mumbling, they were saying it was like terrible, and I specifically heard someone say fat, and she goes like, no one but me would dare, and I did not. And it's like in the trailer, that's the like like the Tina Fey, Amy Poehler like gag bit, and then like in the movie, it's like, oh,
That's
this is
just
part of
so-
That's just
like,
your relationship.
Yeah,
like,
that's so
just-
not like their dynamic.
Yeah.
Like it's not cute.
it's not cute. She's
Yeah.
actually like kind of an asshole, like unnecessarily to this person.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the other thing. Also, a lot of the jokes in the trailer, and like this is actually to go back to the point that Baru brought up right at the beginning, is that like a lot of the jokes in the trailer are like kind of at the Queen's expense because and this is like definitely one of the things that's a little more contemptuous about the movie, although it kind of skirts a line back and forth with the Queen character, but they do kind of do a thing where she's like, they make her kind of grotesque. The film makes her kind of grotesque, and so like
Yeah.
a lot of the jokes in it are like about her, like, you know, like being like heavier and being like kind of sheltered and stunted and like also, like, this isn't really in the trailer, but she, like, she is like a queen in the 18th century, right? I don't know what time it is.
I think so.
I can look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like a queen in the fucking olden times in Bloodborne land. And like she has a bunch of like royalty health problems.
Yeah, she has like gout, and she needs like these
horrendous
massages, and it's oh my god.
She will eat food and then just immediately vomit it. She has a stroke near the end of the film.
She
they don't
like
explicitly say it, but you can see from her face that she's had a stroke.
Well, there's this period in the movie where she's kind of like on this like depression binge, like that gets shown, and
she kind of just declines emotionally. I think probably as a result of the stuff that happens in this movie.
Yeah, definitely. But like at the same time, I don't know. It's very. This movie's very Always Sunny. I mean, like, which is a comparison, but I mean, I don't know. It's just very. All of the dynamics are really just super like that. Like, it's very Victorian Mean Girls, I guess.
That's actually a really good point, because I think there's a lot of Always Sunny episodes where like they cross paths, their fates cross paths with like a normal good person, or like just like a normal person who like doesn't deserve to deal with their shit, and like it's like that stereotypical beat where it's like it is like the end of the episode reveals that everyone in the main cast of Always Sunny is like an evil, horrible person.
Yeah.
And that this person just didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
And like, it's really complicated with the queen, but I do feel like that's really apt, because like, it's like, just, it's exactly like that.
Just like the top, like Emma Stone. It's Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
Yeah. God, she's really good. She's really good in it. She's so good. So I do want to have like a little section in our processing where we give a shout out to the boys.
Yeah.
The only this movie contains the only acceptable masculinities for 2019.
So let's see if we can list them. There's there's Wig and Mole.
Yeah, full face
Fop.
Full face makeup. Nicholas Hoult is amazing in this movie.
Oh yeah, Nicholas Holt's character is unfucking believable.
Like a scheming fop.
Yeah, who loves gossip,
with a drawn on mole in a different part of his face in every scene that he's in.
Yeah, he has like a Hatchet Man situation going on in one scene.
Oh, it's just so good. And then there's like a himbo. Not to misgender him.
Himbo.
Bimbo's gender neutral.
That's true.
Who is specifically more into someone the more they kick his ass.
Yes.
Which is also shout out to the chaotic bisexual representation.
We were just talking last night about how I personally don't love the phrase chaotic bisexual, but it is so earned.
Because she's actually just like an agent of chaos in this movie. Like you don't know where she stands at any given point. Her main way of flirting with the male character is literally just beating him up and like just like punching him in the stomach, making fun of him, insulting him, and then saying, "Maybe I'll kiss you next time."
Yes, I will say that like the big scene where they're like play fighting, that is like 10 minutes. It's like the fight scene from They Live, but it's like them flirting in a forest clearing, and it's like very mutual and extremely funny.
Yeah.
And it's great.
And it's so long. The boys. So yeah, Nicholas Holt's kind of like boy prime in this film. There's just like a whole court of like dandies who like argue with each other. There's a scene where
Yorgos' dad bod thing comes out again.
And
a laughing man while like cupping his dick.
Yeah, we talked briefly about this on our Into the Spider-Verse episode, weirdly enough.
Yeah, just having fruit thrown at him while everyone is laughing, and it goes on for like 5
he's
minutes.
Also laughing. Like he's like
I
don't know. They don't
it.
Explain like there's a lot of really funny scenes in this movie where they just cut to like a music like montage of just the complete like castle bullshit that they're doing for fun.
Yeah.
Like there's like a duck, like an indoor duck race at the beginning of the movie that they just like don't like. It's just to like set the scene of like the fucking excess that they're like living in. But yeah, there's just a brief. It's funny because the women are like incredibly not objectified. I don't think you see like a single tit in that movie.
I don't recall seeing a tit.
Yeah,
I
but you
think-
do see like a fully naked, like cute, chubby boy.
Yeah.
The closest I could think of is like there's that scene when she wakes up at the brothel and there's just a dude railing a chick like literally.
But you
like,
just see
stage
his
left.
you just see his like
Oh yeah,
pale
you just
ass.
see his pale ass. Yeah, I
Like-
was like I was trying to remember if she was like nude or not in that scene.
Like probably, but you don't see shit. Like
Yeah.
you just see like man ass.
Yeah.
Lanthimos, what's the deal? You have a great gaze on men. You're married to a woman, I guess. I've been there.
You do see Emma Stone's tit in the scene where she's cuddling with the queen.
Okay. But that's like that is
that's
a
it, and
singular.
it's
You don't even see both. You see
you
there
see
is
one,
Yeah.
and
there
it's
is one
extremely
tit.
uneroticized because it's just she's just sleeping in bed.
Imagine.
And it's also like framed in a way where it's like, oh, this is also a scene of immense trauma for the other character.
yeah.
Imagine being like. Imagine that being like the thing. It's just like, hey, if you fast forward to this part in The Favorite, you can see Emma Stone's tit, like
One
that.
tit, yeah.
And then
In
like,
candlelight.
and then people have to watch The Favorite for yet another reason.
I think like I had a moment during the movie because I think you also see I was just thinking about like a wiki feed editor watching the film The Favorite so they can note like the one time you see Emma Stone's feet in that movie.
Yeah, I really love the context that we've like kind of dreamed up of The Favorite being kind of like a jump scare property. Just I don't know that what you were saying before about it being so like so advertised and so in front of everybody's faces is like who like do people like I'm so curious to hear like what normal people think of this movie.
Yeah, like people who were tricked into seeing it thinking it was going to be a delightful like historical comedy.
Yeah,
Like
like
delightful, specifically delightful.
yeah, like there's I was worried like seeing that we were going to have a packed theater as soon as I like realized that they were like actually giving a lot of humanity to the queen and like adding a lot of like shocking like tenderness to her relationship with Rachel Weisz. Like because it's actually like they do build the queen out and they do build the relationship out and it's like very very it's very very dense and sweet and I was like, oh man, I actually don't want to hear these normal people who like laughed at like characters falling over in trailers for like
Yeah.
Snow Dogs 2 or whatever. Like I don't want to hear them laugh at the queen. I don't want to hear them like laugh at the fact that they have like a sexual relationship. Because I do get the idea that for some like the fact that she's in a sexual relationship with these characters like is for a certain type of audience like a gross out thing.
Yeah.
But like they were well behaved. They were like the normal people in our audience were like scared to laugh.
As
And
they
I was
should
just
be.
like, great. So I can just enjoy this for everything that it means to me. And also, again, holy shit, what do people that aren't us, like, what do they get out of this movie? I feel the same way about Killing Eve. Like, cool, like, fun time. Do normal people, can you metabolize anything that you're being shown?
Especially because, like, even
Yeah.
just, like, the framing in the film, like, that last shot is so good, where it's, like, their faces overlapping, and then just, like, increasingly overlapping just
Footage
bunnies
of
until
bunny,
they're just,
yeah.
like... And I'm like, how do normal people who went and saw this thinking it was going to be, like, Monster-in-Law 2... are,
Yeah.
like, how
Oh
do
my
they see
God.
that, and, like, why does the movie look like this?
I kind of wonder, like, we have this thing that we talk about a lot where a lot of directors and writers in Hollywood will use kind of heterosexuality as like a sort of not like a precedent, but just like shorthand, you know what I mean? Like just like writing shorthand, like them kind of saying like, oh, these characters are heterosexual, and so you as a heterosexual person have all of this context when I kind of end up screaming at the screen like not sure, but no, but sure, but no, and I kind of like, I don't know. I do kind of wonder about the reverse, but I'm also just like, no, fuck you, please. Just like, kind of like shoving people into the deep end on like insane media.
Yeah.
There is sort of like there is like a single branch that you can hang on to no homo. with this movie, which is that like since it's about this kind of power struggle intrigue thing, there's like a vague implication that either just Emma Stone or both Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone are like romantically and sexually manipulating the queen to kind of gain the power that they want. Like there's not really, it's Emma Stone is great because she manipulates you along with the characters in that. And so it's like really hard to tell, it's kind of hard to tell how she actually sincerely feels about anything because she is like just so like singularly driven and will express any emotion that she needs to any person to like get the outcome that she wants. So I think there is also like a sense of like, oh, they're like playing this like they're like doing this some fucking House of Cards shit over this or what. I've never seen that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's the kind of thing in House of Cards.
It's a fucking political intrigue that like there is no actual sexual interest in here. It's just this. Yeah, no, like that was kind of like a thing that when I walked out of the movie originally, I was like, oh, I'm really worried that like that's kind of what they were getting at Emma Stone. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, maybe it's because I'm actually like gay. But it's like, no, I could definitely see that it's a like she saw that as her in because it's like, oh, I also fuck women.
Yeah, or I can do that. I saw her like so the scene where you realize that Rachel Weisz and the Queen's relationship is sexual, Emma Stone is like secretly there. And you're basically like hearing them while watching Emma Stone react, and it's just her doing like she's like slightly horrified and does like the kind of the calculus woman thing for a really, really long time where she's like, oh man, like I kind of read that scene as her being like, shit, I have to fuck the queen. Yeah. Like which is kind of unfortunate.
I mean, I also take it as like her shock was more so just at the like inappropriateness of the relationship. Like
that's true. It is very inappropriate.
It's not that they're lesbians, but it's the fact that like, oh, this is a super like scandalous relationship that is like super like risky, both because of like not just because it's queer, but because it's like that's like very inappropriate for like their political powers and positions. And then she covers up for them like immediately afterwards, where she's like, oh no, they're fine. Don't go in there.
Yeah. God, Emma Stone is fascinating. Every character is fucking fascinating in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Like they are awesome.
I do want to give a shout out to the costuming in this movie because there's a point in the movie where it's also okay. I think maybe my personal favorite scene, and this is kind of spoiler territory.
We've already spoiled so much of the movie.
Yeah, we're spoiling this whole fucking movie anyway. So the scene where Emma Stone poisons Rachel Weisz, and
it's that kind of lesbian movie.
Yeah,
it really be that kind of lesbian movie.
And Rachel Weisz just like takes a sip of it and looks at it and then downs the whole thing and then wordlessly stands up and walks outside and gets on her horse.
God,
that scene is
Queen
so powerful. Her just immediately being like, "Oh, you're trying to poison me." Okay.
It's so good. And she comes back and she has this like huge scar on her face. So there's like this kind of Rachel Weisz arc of her like, okay, there's these scenes where she's like shooting quail and she's in this like amazing like bloodborne outfit.
Yeah.
And then she's like all of her clothes are all tattered and ripped because she was like being dragged behind a horse for a really long time, and she's
covered in dirt.
Yeah, she's covered in
Blood.
dirt and this enormous scar on her face and just like all of this shit. And then there's like final arc, Rachel Weisz with this like lacy sort of eye patch that's like covering an entire half of her face.
Yeah, like the queen is basically like your face scares me. So she proceeds to wear just this beautiful like scrap of lace diagonally across that side of her face, and it is so hot.
So yeah, the looks in this movie are incredible. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to shout that out.
Speaking of like her arc, God, like this was like one of those movies where just like by the end of the film, I was just like, God, I want them all to be happy. I want at least one of them to be happy, and I know where we're going is that none of them are happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you really like you do like the vagueness of Emma Stone's like motivations and how she actually feels, notwithstanding, like it does like the dynamic, however complicated it is between the Queen and Rachel Weisz, like there's a lot of tenderness there, and it's like really, really heartbreaking actually.
Yeah.
No, I feel like to me it's like it has this sort of message of just this idea of like what can happen in that kind of relationship when like it stagnates to a point where it's like she's just like, yeah, like there's love and tenderness there, but she's essentially treating the Queen as like a ward
Yeah.
a lot of the times
Mhm.
and not really respecting that like the Queen is like your partner.
Yeah.
And is actual political power, and you're like kind of overstepping your bounds, and that ends up being like her tragic mistake is she like oversteps her bounds and underestimates the fact that like, oh well, she loves me, like she'll never like do anything to like stop me.
Oh God, I'm thinking about the scene with the letters.
God, that's
That hurt my feelings.
God, it's so oh.
Okay, so like the scene, basically near the end of the movie, like Rachel Weisz kind of realizes that she's losing to Emma Stone. And there's would you believe it? There's a bunch of political motivations in this movie that we haven't even talked about.
Yeah. This
but-
movie is like, we're gonna talk a lot about it. This is such a dense movie that you could literally spend days talking about this film.
It's very watchable. I was also extremely high, so I was just like, "Hooray! I'm on a lesbian dark ride right now." But like, oh God. So that's actually the other thing that also complicates Rachel Weisz's motivations in that movie is that she has some motivations for like how like this war is being handled and like where funding is going and like stuff like that. And she basically is like, hey, I need you to like do the things with the budget and the war that I say, or I'm going to publish the love letters that you sent me.
Yeah.
And then the Queen is just like, fuck you. And then you see, like, you don't know if she decided to do it or not, but Rachel Weisz, she's just throwing the letters that she was blackmailing her with in the fire and like crying. And it's just like, oh man.
It's so rough.
Oh, feels bad.
Goes down rough.
Yeah. Really crunchy.
I also, this is like minor headcanon thing, because like I thought
Mhm.
this was going to come up in the film and it never explicitly did. I felt like a small bit of her motivation with this ongoing war was trying to get her husband killed.
You know what?
Because it kept coming up. They're like, you're really risking your husband. And she's like, I'm willing to give anything for the future of France. And then
Wink.
it's like, oh, we won the war. Like, we won this battle. We're doing great. And she's like, oh, we got to go back out there again.
Oh, man.
Oh, we can't send reinforcements. Like, who knows if, like, they're going to...
Oh, man, my husband died in the war. I'm so heartbroken. I'll never marry again.
Yeah.
I just love him so much.
Couldn't eat another bite.
I am just so full on my love of men.
I'm so glad that other people are just like, yeah, that had to be her motivation, right? It was like she was trying to get her husband killed in the war.
Oh, that didn't even occur to me.
That's great.
I was too busy shoveling the slop in my mouth.
It's a dense movie. It's a dense movie with characters' motivations that are like shown but never obliquely made explicit, so you're never quite sure. Like, you don't even really know if she even likes her, like, if Emma Stone likes her husband. Like, you don't even know if she likes him.
Oh my god, that is
because their flirting is like
the jerk off scene is so much. It's so fucking
that
much.
jerk off scene is peak Yorgos. Like, there's always a scene in a Yorgos movie that's extremely him.
God.
In Killing of a Sacred Deer, it's Colin Farrell trying to get his son to walk by telling him a story about how he jerked his own dad off in his sleep.
Oh god. Oh.
And in this movie, it's Emma Stone trying to shut her husband up by giving him the like most pathetic hand job while she stares into middle distance, openly contemplating what her next move should be now that she's poisoned Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, it's literally you just hear like hand job Foley and her husband but while she's just monologuing, and it's just like zoomed in on her like face. It's so good. It's also their wedding night.
Yeah. And he's like literally complaining about how much his dick hurts because of how horny he is.
That scene is so fucking funny. So they get rush married while Rachel Weisz is gone. Because like Emma Stone's motivation is because she used to be a lady and her like family fell on hard times or something, and so it's her like doing whatever she can to climb back up to that status. Which is another thing, like her motivation for that guy. She seems a little interested in him sincerely because he is very cute. But it is also like, oh, I'll become a lady again if I marry him. So the scene like starts out, she's in her chambers, talking with Nicholas Hoult, and then it pans over to the husband who you had no idea was there with a boner.
Yeah.
Just yelling very petulantly, like, it is my wedding night, and I am hard as a rock. And she's just like, fucking fine. Like, great. He is such a good prop in that movie.
Even just like the beautiful Oscar-worthy performance of when he's done, just the way she flicks her hand, just to get it off, like, and to punctuate the last line of her like monologue, that she should get an Oscar for that.
Yeah.
There is like this way, I will say, they don't like, this movie, again, it's really rough. I think the way we talked about it earlier, you're probably gonna know, if you're somehow listening to this, even though it's clearly going to have major spoiler warnings over this podcast, like, if you weren't turned off at the pass, like, there is some kind of glib discussion of sexual assault in the way that they're just like kind of like, they don't like do it in a super horrible way, but they kind of do some stuff with Emma Stone's character where it's like, she is a woman who fell on hard times in this period, so she like has clearly been through a lot of like horrible bullshit, but she has this like incredibly like business as usual attitude about it.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, like the scene when she talks about like being like sold off to someone when she was like 16, and like the way she talks about it is very just like obviously like traumatic, but also just like she was like, I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah, like she has this very like clearly hard won like attitude about it, where she is just like a missile shooting in a direction, and like she just fights shit off at the pass, and like it's a very interesting aspect of her character that might also be hard for some people to watch, but it might be like cathartic for other people, for like the way that she treats her own like survivorhood.
Yeah, it was like where like I really liked it. The jokes never felt like they never felt like rape jokes. Like they always felt like sort of just like her joking about some shit that she's been through.
Some horrible shit that she's been through, which is like really relatable.
Yeah, in a way that like is like, no, this is like how people I know, like other survivors and stuff I know, have like talked about like these kinds of things. It's just like sometimes it's just in a glib way where it's just like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really
that was a really good character touch. Like it's glib, but it was effective.
And it also fits in with like Yorgos' stuff is that like he has a very dry, very like you said, Monty Python sense of humor, and not in a like that means he'll offend everyone, but in a like way where it's like everything, all of his movies touch upon really heavy topics, and he handles them all in a way that is both a balance of like very fairly and very like intensely, and also very glibly, where like textually or like in just the plain text of it, the characters will discuss things that are like pretty upsetting or dark in very like jokey manners almost, but like the reason they're present in the text has extreme amount of weight and always feels like it has an extreme amount of thought put into it.
He's definitely like, when he goes into this kind of thing in his movies, it's very much like to learn about the character that is going through that moment. And whenever it's like a joke, it's like the joke is based on like their reaction and not like the fact of it.
Yeah, he adds so much weight to like the perspectives of the different characters that like the jokes are really contingent on like them having such a sway, and them occupying so much space in the narrative that it just doesn't. It never really feels like the characters are being. It like very scarcely feels like the characters are being like, sort of obtusely made fun of in a way, that like kind of runs across his movies.
He does kind of have a lack of like, I don't know.
He's a little bit less tactful.
He just kind of he's just kind of at any moment throwing a dodgeball at you and expecting you to catch it without telling you.
Yeah.
That's kind of his style, yeah.
I mean, Dogtooth has like that one scene with the VHS tape.
Oh, fuck, I forget that.
That scene, like, literally feels like it comes out of fucking nowhere and just punches you in the gut. It's like, hey, you enjoying my movie?
His movies are
hey,
definitely...
you like the... Hey, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely the sibling experience of just, like, the fake punch to, like, try to get you to jump.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
fake
that, that for 2 hours.
The fake punch of trying to get you to jump and then twice for jumping.
Yeah.
That's Yorgos' movies.
Yeah.
There's 3 scenes of women vomiting on screen in this movie.
There's
2 of them are into very beautiful, expensive urns, which I have like a severe vomit phobia, but I do appreciate that touch of the urn.
It's crucial. Like, if it's a fact that you can tell to a very specific genre of person, and they'll be like there.
Yeah.
Like and I am of that ilk.
We were talking about Todd Haynes' use of on-screen women vomiting, because we just watched Safe recently.
Yeah.
And I remember you've seen Carol. You haven't seen Carol.
I haven't seen Carol yet.
Okay, but you've seen Carol.
I haven't.
You haven't seen Carol.
I haven't seen Carol.
Okay, well,
the education
you
of Gay
expect
Bear Hat.
yes, we're gonna watch Carol. Carol, but like when you think of Carol, you expect like a very dignified Oscar bait gay movie that's very romantic. And it like generally is that, but I was like very endeared by the singular touch of like Rooney Mara's character stress vomiting on screen completely in that otherwise like very scene chewy, like very romantic, sweeping, like gay love story. It's a really, really funny touch.
That's bravery. That's filmmaking bravery.
Yeah.
Well, so is there anything else we want to talk about in this film? The favorite?
I feel like there's just like endless things. That
There's a
Kinda, yeah.
What are we at?
We're at 39 minutes.
We can wrap it up. So we do a thing at the end of every episode where it's we assign the ticket price usually of like $15, where it's like, what are you glad you didn't spend it on, and what do you wish you would have spent it on instead of seeing the favorite? And that's how we rank movies instead of.
Oh man, I'll go last.
Okay. I'm glad I spent it on this, and what else?
I'm a little bit I maybe would have spent the ticket price on like a sash covering half of my face diagonally. Or just like some really couture like Victorian coats, you know?
Yeah. No,
from Goodwill or wherever.
I feel like if I could have gotten like a really gaudy piece of gold jewelry
that
or
might
a
have presented more value to me than the favorite.
or a decorative vase to use as a prop in a video where we smash it.
Or to
vomit into and then smash it.
God, I just the color of the
color of the vomit.
the cake vomit.
It's really the defining shot of the film is her vomit speckled face.
It's really
It's
the
like
lesbian...
robin's egg blue.
Yeah.
Because she's eating like there's a thing they set up. God, having a fucking vomit phobia makes you like so aware of when they are telegraphing a scene where you see someone puke like 20 minutes later. But they basically set up like Emma Stone's character brings Rachel Weisz and the Queen hot chocolate, and Rachel Weisz is like, "You're not having that, Queen. You're canceled, sis." But you're not having that. It's gonna make your stomach horrible. You're like, or have it and like get the mop for later or whatever. And I'm like, great, okay. And then there's like a scene where she's like, the Queen is alone in her room having to make like an important decision, and you see that she just has an entire beautiful like 3-tiered like robin's egg blue cake
that she's
pawing
into
her
her
hands.
hands.
And then, of course, like, this scene is a million years long of her, like, basically a servant, is psychically able to understand that she's gonna barf and brings her this, like, beautiful silver urn. And, it's just all over her face. God, the things I do for love.
And she takes another bite of the cake right after.
Yeah.
Which is just a horrible touch.
The shit that they do with that, it's, like, character work in the sense that you see like how like not it's hard for me. I can see what they're doing with her character. It's hard for me to separate it from the contempt for like her like body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And stuff like that. But
it's-
also I like to do a thing. The Oscars are bullshit, but I love to have parties. And I like to do a thing where I like cook the food that is like featured in like a lot of the movies that are up if I like the movie. But I don't think I for a brief second I was like, maybe I'll make the cake. No, I can't.
Or
I can't do it.
we
I
could
can't
cross
do
this
it.
over with the gay vomit representation and make vomit cake.
No.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Don't invite demons into the podcast.
Go on YouTube and look up Vomit
Don't
Cake.
do that.
It's a really fun watch. Bring the family.
Yeah, it's a fun watch that my roommates love to just put on the Chromecast.
Yeah.
Do they ever just like put it on randomly?
No, but
I would, if I lived here, I would move out. If you needed me to move out of Ghost Planet, that's how you would do
That is
it.
how.
I haven't seen it yet. How is it? Scale.
Oh, I refuse
Would-
to watch it. Every time they put it on, I
What
leave
would
the
you
room.
rather
Right.
buy with the price of admission to Vomit Cake?
A gun to shoot myself with.
One session of online therapy.
Yeah. Is that also your answer for the favorite one?
Some therapy.
Damn. I guess. I fucking guess so.
And then I'm glad I didn't spend this on Safeway cake.
A really whack like Victorian wooden dildo.
God, I was gonna say that.
From an antique store.
A robin's egg blue jelly dildo from Amazon that gives you an STI immediately. Or not STI, UTI.
A chemical burn.
A chemical
Okay,
burn.
Did I ever this? Hey, you know,
A yeast infection.
I'm gonna put the story just in here. Did I tell you the time I bought a knockoff Hitachi off of Groupon, and then after bought
And
it,
it set fire to your house?
no, and then after I bought it, I looked up the reviews for it, and multiple reviews were just like set my boyfriend on fire.
What?
So 5 stars.
Yeah. Like it would shoot sparks out. Like every
Working as
third,
intended.
every third one would shoot sparks out when it was being used, and someone was like, "Yeah, it just like lit my boyfriend's pubes on fire," or like, "Yeah, it
That's
just
like a
burned
free
my
drag
blanket."
king routine.
Yeah.
We're saving somebody $15.
So you know, actually, I just answered that. I'm glad I spent the money on this and not another Groupon vibrator.
A Groupon vibrator with a hand crank. Yeah, you know what? Okay. There should have been like a hand crank vibrator in that movie.
Yeah.
See, that would
There
be
should
that
have
would be
been an egg
too
beater.
no, that would have been like too funny.
Yeah, straight people would get the jokes.
Yeah, no,
So that's why
exactly.
they cut it out. It was
Yeah,
in the
no.
first draft. Did he
No,
cut it
they
out?
have to sit through the like when we say sex scene, like you don't really see anything. But
But they
they have to-
explicitly
they
do
have to
tell you
sit through
more.
it, yeah. They have to sit through it, and I'm just big shout out to the fucking straight people in our like packed audience who
Yeah.
like I'm so glad that I did not have to have any type of feeling about that other than feeling like their like terror at laughing at the wrong thing made me feel like they had made space for me. And so I probably shouldn't have raised my fist in the air when Olivia Colman and Emma Stone ride off on a horse and Olivia Colman shouts to Rachel Weisz, "I like it when she puts her tongue in me."
Yeah.
You know?
Gay rights.
Live your truth.
Gay fucking
God,
rights.
no, that scene is so.
Ugh. Yeah, like
I
think
love it because the way it's framed too also makes it clear that like, oh, this was framed earlier as like a big secret, but it's like just not. Like very
Yeah.
clearly, there's like people around her just know that this is going on and just like can't do anything about it.
Oh my god.
there actually is cut me off if you don't want us to go in one last tangent. But there was actually one last thing that I found really
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
about the movie, which is the queen's like authority and the appearance of her power, and how like there's all these scenes where basically like like Rachel Weisz and then later Emma Stone, like they kind of just, they get comfortable, like they just kind of treat the queen however they want, that they think that they can get away with. And then there's a few, like, basically the queen will, like, she'll, like, throw tantrums and she'll be like, you're not allowed in here, I'm giving you back there's literally fucking lesbians. There's a scene where Rachel Weisz has to give back the ornate key to Olivia Colman's bedroom. Wow. That shit is the same since the 18th century.
Yeah.
But, like,
You back that
yeah.
ye old yeehaw.
Yeah,
out of my
exactly.
term.
There's, like, oh my god. Oh my god.
I hope you die.
Yeah.
I hope we both die. But yeah, there's a lot. I was really interested. It's really interesting because you, like, there's a few scenes where Olivia Colman, like, she does like throw her weight around when you're, like, not expecting it with them, like, especially towards the end where she's, like, having to, like, she's, like, really being torn between them and, like, being, like, really heartbroken.
Yeah.
That I thought was a really interesting point. It's a good movie for a certain type of person.
Are you that type of person? Go to your local theater.
Now that you've heard about the whole
movie, it's time to go watch
Maybe
it.
we
What's
should-
wild is even with how dense our, like, us discuss, like, how much we talked about this movie, there's a good, like, 80% of that movie we didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
There's
so much
fucking
happens in that fucking
It's
movie.
really, I have to, like, watch it again and just, like,
It's like an 8-part film. Like,
it's
the
It doesn't
fact that
feel
it's
like it at
8 parts,
all,
It doesn't
though.
feel like
No,
it. Like,
yeah.
it feels like
It felt like 30 minutes long, which is, like, really funny because usually things where so much happens feel longer.
yeah.
but-
yeah, it flies by weirdly.
It's such a tightly. Maybe that's why he finally allowed his actors to emote. Was he got good enough at making movies that he could just?
I do love his bullshit.
No,
in
I
other
do.
movies.
It was just
But
like that-
it's to very, very good effect, and it's
Yeah.
very important in this movie about emotional manipulation, basically.
Yeah, no, it's like, to be clear, that's not even like a dig against his, like, earlier films, because they work very specifically and for very specific reasons. It was just absolutely tonal whiplash to be like, here's a movie where people are going to emote, and goddamn are they going to emote.
Yeah. Oh god, the fucking scene. I don't even remember what the context of it was, but the fucking scene where, like, Emma Stone, like, puts on a bunch of theatrics and is, like, crying really, really hard and then gets what she wants and walks away and then just, like, stone-faced. Like,
So good.
Her little, like, all of her little things in this movie are so great. She does this little scoff at one point.
oh, it's so good!
So fucking good. Yeah. But in summation, between this and The Handmaiden, I'm very excited for this new trend of insane Victorian sort of era lesbian dramas.
Just, like, glib bodice rippers.
yeah.
Forever.
A little lesser known one that came out a while back too that I saw. Lizzie Borden.
Oh, fuck.
Is
Let's watch that.
It's a lesbian
Yeah.
movie, starring Kristen Stewart as the idiot butch, like, maid to Lizzie Borden, who Lizzie Borden's just like,
So real life.
yeah.
Oh my god.
All right.
That sounds great.
Kristen Stewart basically plays a Shane type in that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
then,
like,
then we're watching
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Please.
All right.
That concludes
Our Film Critters episode about the favorite. I'm Jay Bearhat.
I'm Baru.
And I'm Mia. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you so
Yeah,
much
thank
for
you.
joining us, Mia Schwartz.
Thanks for listening, person who knows all plot beats of this movie.
Yeah.
Find us on social media.
Yeah.
Don't find me.
We'll put it.
You'll
down
figure it
below.
out. We'll
Don't
put
look
it
for me,
below.
I am gone.
Mia Schwartz is at Obama, Barack Obama.
You know. And we'll have more things coming up on the Patreon shortly in the pipeline, and, like, all sorts of exciting things going down. Our next episode is in the works. Blah 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 blah. We love you so much.
We're
Thank
Love
you for
you.
listening.
Bye.
Bye.